Domo domo, what is up everybody? Welcome to the Anime Lounge. The regular viewers out there, welcome back. We're doing something a little bit new here. And for the new viewers, let me introduce myself. My name is Steady. I am the official Jujutsu Kaisen manga translator for Weekly Shonen Jump and Viz Media. So I translate the manga every week and pass it on to an amazing team of editors as well as designers, letterers, and then that gets kind of funneled through the office, and then we have our final product, our chapter of the week of Jujutsu Kaisen, where you can read it on the Shonen Jump app or the Viz app. So be sure to check that out if you are interested in the manga. And maybe for those of you that are new to the series, don't worry, because I am going to be keeping these series of videos in kind of friendly for new viewers, newcomers to the series. And if you aren't familiar with what Jujutsu Kaisen is, it's been running for about 2.5 years now. It started in March of 2018. In the very first chapter featured in the Weekly Shonen Jump that you see right here. This is the very first volume of the Japanese manga as well, and right here is the English printed manga. We are out to volume 6 now, and it is all available on, your favorite retailers like Amazon, Books A Million, and wherever you get your manga content. So definitely, I have the links in the description, so thank you very much if you choose to support that way. But we are here for the anime today, and I hope you watched episode 1 in full, because we will be going into depth comparing the anime of Jujutsu Kaisen to the manga of Jujutsu Kaisen, instead of just doing like a little watch through or something kind of a little bit more generic like that. I wanted to do something a little bit special, and since my expertise is on the manga, hopefully I can offer you a little bit of insight into how the anime differs from the manga and how it is similar to the manga. And what kind of places that they're taking creative liberties on, whether it be through the lighting or kind of cinematography. And of course, anime has the advantage of music, so hopefully we will touch into that a little bit as well. But I will say the anime, from what we have seen so far, is staying very, very true to the source material, and the source material being an absolutely excellent series. So that is something that we will be going into as well. Dig through the essence of the manga and what makes it so great, and analyze that along the way as well. But a little bit similar to how I conduct my Manga Lounge series, I am going to be doing this weekly, and it will be a little bit kind of a casual experience, somewhere where you can sit along, maybe grab something to drink, and then I'll just kind of talk through it, analyze the anime obviously, and compare it to the manga a little bit. Hopefully you enjoy, and it's a place where you can come in week after week after watching the episode of the week, and I can offer you a little bit of insight. But enough of the big screen Steady right here. I'm going to go small Steady, and then we're going to kind of go through screenshots of both the anime as well as the manga. So I have been waiting for so long to say this. Episode 1 of the Jujutsu Kaisen anime versus manga comparison. Take a seat, lay back, and enjoy. Let's get right into it. Here we go. Alright, so the Jujutsu Kaisen anime starts out with this little scene in this mysterious little room. We see our main protagonist, Yuji Itadori, kind of tied up in this mysterious room with all these kind of talismans on the wall, and he's greeted by a mysterious voice, which we quickly find out is the voice of Gojo Satoru. Now, this scene actually took place at the beginning of chapter 2. So the fact that they brought it into the anime episode 1 as kind of our opening act is very interesting, but I thought it was extremely effective. It kind of set the stage of this kind of mysterious tone that the anime will have and that the series has, because otherwise the manga first scene, the first character that we actually run into is Megumi Fushiguro, which we kind of get introduced to later on in the anime as well. This guy right here, the guy that runs into Yuji at the school. Now, kind of going by the way that they introduced this scene in chapter 2 of the manga, you know, they did have little peeks at what the wall looks like, the talismans and things like that, but I love this shot right here of the kind of overhead view, giving us a look at both Yuji as well as Gojo, and all the kind of the lighting effects as well. The anime is doing an amazing job of kind of utilizing the lighting to give mysterious as well as creepy nature throughout the episode. But then we do move on, and then we see that the episode title for episode 1 is Ryomen Sukuna. The fact that it is called Ryomen Sukuna is the same chapter title for the manga as well. Chapter 1 was titled Ryomen Sukuna, and I should add here as well that episode 1 did cover chapter 1 in full. It pretty much went, besides the little differences that I've mentioned before, the way that it opened up and stuff, it kind of went with the same flow as chapter 1, so that was very cool to see. Like I said, staying true to the source material, but giving it that anime flair. But we kind of move on a little bit, and then we are shown this house along with the title, and it says Itadori on the post box here, on the mailbox, and then we see Itadori inside his house. Now this is something new, a little additional scene that we have not seen in the manga. Not to mention these kind of little bonus extra hospital scenes of kind of the nurses and Yuji's grandpa going back and forth. I like the little comedic touch here. But then this next scene where we see the kind of the nameplate of the school. So this is exactly the page that we start off the manga with in chapter 1. As we see the thermometer box here in the anime, this is where we're in the manga. Both Fushiguro is actually conversing with Gojo sensei on the line, and perhaps it's not as clear for those who aren't familiar with the series, but Fushiguro is indeed talking with Gojo, who is the first year teacher at the Tokyo Jujutsu High. But I love this kind of little back and forth that Megumi and Gojo have here. Kind of those little comedic touches. Definitely with Jujutsu Kaisen, the material can be very, very dark and very brutal at times. So Akutami Sensei, though, is an absolute genius at the comedy. Kind of these little bursts of comedic moments to keep things a little bit light and kind of have that ebb and flow in terms of pace a little bit as well, which is really important. Otherwise, if the material is a little bit too dark all the time, then it can get a little bit, be a little bit of a drag. But we get our first look at Sasaki-chan here, who is a second year student of the Occult Research Club. But they obviously did a great job of kind of representing her. But then we also get introduced to Iguchi, as you can see here, also a member of the Occult Research Club, and they did a great job of kind of staying true to how he looks in the anime as well. And then as they're using their little Ouija board here, you know, they're kind of talking behind the school council president's back. So it's kind of funny. They left this little comedic moment in here. I'd be curious to see as the manga goes along, as the anime goes along, I should say, what kind of comedic moments, because there's a lot of these kind of little side comedic moments or little retorts and kind of banter here and there. So as the anime goes along, of course, there's always pacing, right, and kind of flow. Manga has a strength in a certain way where it can kind of give a little bit more time to those kind of moments, whether it be comedic or side moments or kind of plot driven moments, where anime sometimes doesn't have that luxury. But then of course the school president kind of bursts in here, so it's I like the little face that that the school president gives too, and they do represent that, as you can see here in the anime as well. I mean, pretty much true 1-to-1 right here. And you know, this as Sasaki-chan kind of stakes her claim here, saying that the rugby field is haunted. She has this little moment of triumph, which they kind of show in this little panel right here in the anime, which is very cool. But then, of course, they go on to explain that it was ticks. So, of course, then they go on a little bit in the anime about how they don't have enough members and this and that. And then we have the one of the coaches for the track and field team come by trying to recruit Itadori and challenging him to a physical battle. But before that, we do get our little another glimpse at Fushiguro here, now at the school, at Yuji's school. And he does run into the curse, which is hanging on the kind of the rugby upright here, the goal upright. Very cool. Again, staying very true to the source material. It's pretty much a 1-to-1. And for anyone out there who is getting confused by me saying like Megumi and Fushiguro, it's the same person. Megumi is the first name and Fushiguro is the last name. So I'm sorry if I'm confusing kind of new viewers out there. But regular viewers will be fully used to the fact that I use both first names and last names, which I really should change, but sorry. Then we get our little competition between Takagi Sensei and Yuji here, and then even this little panel here in the anime, we have you know, him kind of all proud and even posing, kind of really proud of himself here. And they do show that in the manga as well, obviously. And then in the manga, they also have this little banter between Sasaki and Iguchi. But then, of course, Yuji giving his baseball throw of, of the ball here. And just like in the manga, you know, the bent goal post here. So like I said, they're really staying true to the manga and the source material. So as Yuji is you know, finishes off Takagi Sensei and having a little chat with Sasaki and Iguchi, a little important scene here, you know, he runs off but then runs past Megumi, and they have this little kind of like whoosh, this spark moment representing Megumi. Kind of, he's looking for this finger, right, this special grade cursed object, and he senses it from Yuji. Later on in the episode, we find out that Yuji has the box, right? And there's a couple of cool little extra scenes here of Yuji making his way to the hospital, stopping by the flower shop, and this kind of cute little scene with the baby kind of tugging at the bouquet. This is something new to the anime, a little bit of a little bonus couple of scenes here before he does get to the hospital, and then we do reconvene with the manga. Obviously, the grandpa, you know, he's certainly on his last leg here, but then this is very much kind of a big essence of the manga right here, is the grandpa kind of giving his last words to Yuji. He's saying that you're a strong kid, so help people. It doesn't have to be all the time. Just whenever you can. You may feel lost. Don't expect gratitude. Just help them. Now, this is very much a important piece of the series, and kind of something that really drives Yuji's motivations. You know, he kind of even at the end of the episode goes on to say, you know, I've got a pretty hefty curse, referring to what the grandpa says to him, and I can't just stand back and watch. And of course, the grandpa unfortunately passing away, and then Yuji calling up the nurses to report that the grandfather is dead. And then this is at the nurse's desk here. This is where we run into Megumi. And this is represented pretty true as well, the same way that it was in the manga, kind of standing in the hallway there. Obviously in the anime, the way that the lighting works is gives off those kind of creepy vibes in the atmosphere a little bit more, and that's certainly an advantage that the anime has over the manga. But then he does go on to explain a little bit about what curses are, because Yuji's unfamiliar with the fact this is kind of the enemy of the manga, right? Of the series. The fact that the common person doesn't know that the fact that these curses exist, but all these kind of unidentified deaths and unusual deaths and things like that are due to curses being born from the negative emotions of humanity. And later on in the series, we do find out a little bit more about that, but that is kind of the basic principles. They manifest from the negative emotions of humanity, whether it be anger, just kind of daily stress, or sadness, loneliness, and things like that. So they did a very cool job about representing that in the anime with this kind of little spiral and all these kind of words of negativity kind of spiraling around it. But he does go on also to explain that curses can only be fought by curses. So kind of the chakra in Naruto, or the ki in Dragon Ball, or what have you, the means of energy, the means of power that the Jujutsu sorcerers in the series use is cursed energy, right? You fight poison with poison, fire with fire. So kind of represented here with the spider and this little, but later getting eaten by the centipede here. But then Yuji does go on to reveal that that Sasaki and Iguchi have it, and they're most likely at the school unwrapping this special grade cursed object, and that is some very bad juju, pun definitely intended. And it's very cool because in the anime, obviously the lighting, again, it's very different, and the way when they unwrap the finger, obviously we get our first look at the Ryomen Sukuna finger, which very much a plot device in the series. But then I love this scene, the way that they represented the curses coming through the ceiling, as we see Sasaki and Iguchi with kind of these surprised faces at what is this finger. And the kind of the little sound effect right here, if you watch the episode, you'll know exactly. I think it's stuck in the minds of a lot of people who watch this episode, kind of this distorted like voices and stuff. Oh, it was so creepy but so cool. But obviously they have that scene in the manga as well, but in the anime, I maybe got to give the point to the anime for representing this scene. But then we switch back to Megumi as well as Yuji. They finally arrive at the school, and we see the school kind of in the corner here, and then Yuji reacting like, what is this pressure? So a very iconic scene in the manga as well, so very much staying true to that. And then Megumi tells Yuji to stay here as he infiltrates the school. And of course we have this little beat, this kind of drum beat kind of going in the music, the sound effects in the background, very cool as well. And then we zoom right into the school and see what the situation is. Sasaki very much in dire straits here. She's kind of cornered as this curse is kind of roaming through the hallways. But then Iguchi approaches Sasaki, and Sasaki kind of, it's one of those classic like Jurassic Park, when the arm goes through the gate, but then it's, oh my god. It's kind of like that. As he steps out of the shadow, we do see that he has a curse on his head, kind of like a face hugger if you're for those Half-Life fans out there. But then we switch over to Megumi, who has who realizes that the finger has been unwrapped and there are curses roaming the school now. So he runs into one, and he does not waste any time summoning his divine dogs. So cool the way that obviously in the manga, you have to do it in panels, but with the anime, the way that he's running through the hallway, the cinematography that they have here, and then boom, and then just the way that the shadows turn into the dogs. Oh man, so cool with the music just kind of pumping in the background. These are the kind of moments that, you know, us manga fans are dying to see, these kind of action set pieces. So very, very cool. Again, Akutami Sensei beautifully kind of in the chapter switches back to Yuji, because he is our protagonist, obviously. And the way that they represented this in the anime is so beautifully done, because we see Yuji kind of standing in the hallway here of the hospital as the grandfather is getting kind of carted away. And then he, you know, he's kind of going through in his head talking about what a proper death is. This is definitely something that I do want you to kind of keep an eye on, is this idea of the proper death. Now, it's very much like similar to the fact that the grandfather told Yuji to help people, kind of works hand in hand. Yuji has experienced this idea of death, and with the grandfather, the bond was strong. It was a natural death of old age, and that was a proper death. But then, as Yuji is still standing there, the scene kind of fades into back to the school. And what was it's so cool that the way that they represent it here, now that he's saying to himself, but this is not a proper death. So this definitely becomes kind of a motivation, a driver for Yuji, prevent as many of these improper deaths as possible. It's very much something, a theme that runs through the series, and each time that Yuji kind of has these moments, we are always reminded of this idea of the proper death. But of course, as Megumi is still kind of running through the hall here, then he runs into this little bit of a bigger curse, who now has Sasaki, as well as we see Iguchi's kind of feet sticking out. Compared to the manga, it is a little bit different. The posing, certainly for Sasaki, is much more kind of dynamic, I would say, and Iguchi is just his legs standing out, whereas in the manga, we see him kind of laying prone. But still very much true to the source material. And then we see that Megumi is kind of in a bind here, but then we have our iconic scene of Yuji jumping through the window here, and I think Megumi makes a comment, something about like this is the 4th floor or something like that. So, but again, staying true to the way it was shown in the manga as well. But then in the anime, a very kind of small detail that they had is Yuji kind of hits the top of the window here and kind of spins around, giving a little bit of a more dynamic kind of motion to him grabbing Sasaki and Iguchi from the curse here. So that was a little bit different than the manga. It wasn't quite as twisty and turning, I guess. But then Fushiguro, once Yuji has the hostages, makes quick work of the curses here as the the divine dogs are going to town in the background, and Yuji kind of comments saying, what are those things over there? So he can see curses now. But then as Yuji is about to hand over the Sukuna finger to Megumi here, lo behold, there's actually another curse coming crashing through the ceiling here. And this is also where we get that little scene where Megumi is about to summon Nue, right? And he's unable to do it at this time, of course. For manga readers, we're very familiar with Nue now. But these are those kind of little moments that I think are so cool, kind of going back as manga readers to these kind of scene, watching the anime again. It's kind of like, oh yeah, that's right. He was about to summon Nue before he got shot through the wall here. But then Yuji quickly follows through, and then of course anime has a little bit of an advantage of kind of making these kind of action set pieces a little bit more dynamic. Yuji getting swung around here, but he's trying to do his best, but quickly finds out that he's no match for this curse, as Megumi in the background is saying, you gotta fight curses with curses, right? But for Yuji, he doesn't have cursed energy, but remember, there's the special grade cursed object Ryomen Sukuna finger, which is imbued with cursed energy, actually lethal amounts. So Yuji does have an idea, and I like the way that they represented this infamous scene in the anime, because this was very much a different I mean, you know, it's not like completely different, but he ends up eating the finger either way. But in the anime, he's kind of you know, being held by the curse as he's kind of holding onto it with his teeth, and he tosses it up. And when you kind of go through the anime panel by panel here, it's so, I love the exaggerated emotion here, you know, with the big tongue sticking out and the big mouth, and he chomps down on it. Very cool. So a little bit different than in the manga, where he just kind of takes it and he chomps it away from the curse, right? And then, of course, in the anime, we also see him do this as the curse gets damaged, which is a new scene. We didn't have that in the manga, because as he eats the curse, we just see him kind of from behind, like, oh, what happened? And then as the curse approaches, and then we see the, so he is indeed Sukuna, right? Sukuna now. And then obviously we get this crazy laughing face, and a very iconic scene in the manga as well. Our first kind of look at Sukuna here, just going crazy. And I love this kind of distorted face that they have here in the anime. Just absolutely, I love the creative liberties that they're taking with the kind of the cinematography and the distorting and things like that. But then we do see Ryoma and Sukuna kind of looking over. Obviously, we don't know at this point in the anime how long he's been tucked away and stuff, but we get a little bit of an explanation from that from Gojo later on. But for right now, we see that Sukuna has, you know, has been tired of waiting for a while now, and he's ready to start a massacre. Looking over the beautiful streets of Miyagi Prefecture here. And then even the kind of, it'll be a massacre face, very similar to the way that it was represented in the manga. But then obviously we see that Yuji is not completely subdued, and then goes, you know, and stops Itadori in the middle of his speech. How rude. But then Megumi goes on to now declare Yuji Itadori a curse, and that he will be exorcising him. And this is indeed where we end in the manga as well as the anime. So like I said, episode 1 of the anime staying true to chapter 1 of the manga, you know, minus a couple of, you know, added scenes and things like that, exclusive to the anime. But I absolutely love the way that they kind of represented the manga, staying true to the manga, but obviously having that anime flair. So I mean, an absolutely awesome episode 1 for the Jujutsu Kaisen anime. I couldn't have asked for anything more. The voice acting is great. I've been watching it in Japanese, and it's just absolutely perfection. Obviously the music going on in the background is amazing. The artwork is amazing, animation is amazing, and I think Jujutsu Kaisen fans are really spoiled right now. But yeah, just a few final words, so let me switch back to Big Steady. So just give me a quick moment here. Whoosh. All right, and we're back. So hey, I want to say thank you so much for, you know, the regular viewers out there. Thanks so much for supporting the channel week in, week out, spreading that positive juju with a like and comment and all that good stuff. That helps me out a lot, obviously. But to those newcomers to the series, maybe the anime is your first venture into Jujutsu Kaisen as a series, welcome. But hey, definitely do subscribe because I will be doing these every week along with my manga lounge for the chapter of the week for Jujutsu Kaisen. And I do have bonus videos, kind of a little extras for unboxings for Jujutsu Kaisen merch and just kind of anime and manga in general. So if you like that kind of stuff, thanks very much for considering a subscribe. I think that's enough talking for me today. My mouth is starting to get a little bit dry. We will see you next week, all right? And hey, you know how we do. Mata yoroshiku. All right, we'll see you next video. All right.